everyone. Welcome to the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 Seoul Townhall meeting. Let me introduce myself before the event begins. How are you? We're Diane Kim and Liam Park, the co-leaders of GYCC Youth Lab. Nice to meet you. Now, let us start the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 Seoul Town Hall meeting. Today's event is co-hosted by the 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, under the topic of deforestation and the theme of Uniting Youth for a Greener Tomorrow. Under this theme, our global youth who are invested in the climate crisis have come together to share various ideas on creative solutions. For 3 days, from July 13th to 15th, we have shared our opinions and ideas for alleviating climate change. Based on this, we have established various actions for the global environment, and we would like to share the results at the Seoul Town Hall meeting today. First of all, before the event begins, let's take a time to view the youth journey for the past 3 days. Hello, my name is Liam Park, and I am the co-leader of the GYCC Youth Lab. And this year, in 22 and 23, the GYCC participants have gathered from all over the world to talk about their action models and proposals for policies on the topic of deforestation.
I'd like to extend my warmest welcome to all the participants in the GYCC from 37 countries today.
My name is Oh Bo-Qian, the Secretary General of Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat. Trilateral Cooperation is among China, Japan, and Republic of Korea. And I'm so honored to be invited to participate in this wonderful event.
Hello, my name is Omar. I'm come from Egypt. So we are here to combat the desertification and deforestation. We are working on an action plan to combat desertification in the region, in the sub-Saharan region.
Seeing global youth unite and prepare so much in a short period of time makes me look forward to today's event even more. Before the event, let me introduce you to our distinguished guests who have taken their valuable time to attend the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 Seoul Town Hall meeting. Please let us introduce to you our distinguished guests who hosted GYCC 22-23. Chu Tae-young, Vice Administrator of 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission, has attended today. Hyun Jenny Kim, the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change, has kindly attended today.
Then now, let us introduce to you our distinguished guests who have come to congratulate this event.
Nam Sung-hyun, Minister of Korea Forest Service, has attended today.
Juan Carlos Kaiser Rosero, Ambassador of Colombia to Korea, has attended today.
Oh Bu-chen, Secretary General of Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, has attended today.
Im Hyun-mook, Director of UNESCO SEOUL, has attended today.
Lastly, Jung Tae-yong, Professor of Yonsei University and GYCC Advisor, has attended today.
Then, let's hear the greetings and congratulatory speeches of our distinguished guests who have taken their precious time to attend today. First, the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change, Ms. Hyun Jenny Kim, will give a welcoming speech. Please welcome the Ambassador with a big round of applause.
Can I take off my mask? Yes. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, Excellencies, distinguished participants, young leaders. Very nice to see you this morning. It is my great pleasure to open up Global Youth Climate Change Town Hall meeting today. I'm happy to see promising young activists from all around the world gathered here today to discuss climate change, one of the greatest challenges of this world. We know that the 6th IPCC assessment report has scientifically proven the urgency and gravity of climate change. Without immediate and rapid and deep reduction of greenhouse gas emission, global temperature rise may surpass 1.5 degrees Celsius between 2021 and 2040, which is very threatening. Adverse effect of climate change on global water and food security, poverty, and health is continuously intensifying. Yet, the Working Group 3 report spotted that having the right policies, infrastructure, and technology in place can bring about transformation to our lifestyle and behavior to keep 1.5 degree ambition. You, young people, are the ones affected the most by the consequences of climate change. I know that you are in early 20s. Therefore, by 2030, you will be in 30s. You will start your career in every sector of the society. And by 2050, you will be in your 50s, and all of you will become the leaders of the society in every sector. Therefore, if we now fail to deliver our climate actions, you will be the greatest victims. I'm sorry I'm using this term, but you are going to be the greatest victims of the consequences of climate change if we do not take strong actions right now. Therefore, I strongly believe that you are the biggest stakeholder. That's why, in order to secure your future, young generation, yourselves should be the main actor of today's climate change actions and responses. Therefore, I'm not saying that you are future generation. Instead, I'm saying that you are the most important stakeholder of all climate discussions because you are the strongest stakeholder of this worldwide challenge. Therefore, I would like to promise my full support to the young leaders here to voice up and encourage politicians and decision makers to take strong action and make the right decisions. Therefore, please speak up. Please raise your voice. You must provide pressure to the politicians and decision makers to act right now to make a change. By participating in politics and voting strategically based on strong solidarity and collaboration among yourselves, your voice can and will be mainstreamed in all climate actions. I hope GYCC, the Global Youth Network to Combat Climate Change, can serve as a foundation of strengthening the role of the youth. Individual voice may be weak. However, if you work together, if you collaborate, if you network each other, then you can give very strong voice, powerful message to the politicians, decision makers, and leaders of the society. I'm sure that this meeting will contribute to advancing our understanding about climate change and build a strong solidarity among the global youth climate action network. Therefore, I really invite you to enjoy this wonderful opportunity. And your collaboration, your network today will play a key role in bringing about a real change in our world. Welcome to this wonderful opportunity, and I hope you have a wonderful time today and this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invaluable message. Please give another big round of applause to the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change, Ms. Hyun Jenny Kim.
Next, the Ambassador of Colombia to Korea, Mr. Juan Carlos Kaiser Rosero, will give a congratulatory speech. Please give a big round of applause.
Thank you for the invitation, Minister Nam, Ambassador Mrs. Kim from Climate Change, Mr. Yu Dae-yoon, Vice Administrator, Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth, Mrs. Oh, Secretary General of Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, Mr. Lim, Director of Asia Pacific Center of UNESCO, and Mr. Tai from Yonsei University, young leaders. I would like to say first, congratulations. Congratulations to young leaders, Minister of Forests, Minister of Foreign Affairs. I believe the outcomes and the dynamic in the last 2 years that you can move in the Assembly last year and the activities that I had the opportunity to participate last year and last semester with the Ministry of Forests are wonderful. I believe this scenario can support the next steps in Colombia next year, in 2023, as Colombia as a host country in these two assemblies, with the youth challenges and with the P4G scenario. I would like to say the young people, the young leaders, are the core of the strategy of climate change, because around the young leaders, there is a pillar that Korea demonstrates in its evolution is very important, and that is the pillar is the high level of education. We need to work thinking in the education with the young people will demonstrate and will support in all continents a new minds thinking in big challenges around climate change. I would like to say to young Korean young leaders, welcome to Colombia next year. My country, my government is preparing the assemblies, and I need your support to connect and move your networks to the young people in all continents. We need to begin to talk with the young leaders in Latin America and create the scenarios with the universities and schools in Colombia with the objective to prepare this assembly. Finally, I would like to say Colombia is a country, the first assembly of P4G was in Denmark, second assembly was in Korea, but now I would like to invite you to see Colombia as a destination in agriculture projects, a destination in bioeconomy. Colombia is the second country with the major biodiversity, a destination in blue economy with two oceans, a destination in forest projects. I believe all your experience and of the last 4 years can support, and we will permit a good assembly next year. Thank you so much.
That was an invaluable message from the Ambassador of Colombia to Korea, Mr. Juan Carlos Cacer Rosero. Everyone, please give a big round of applause.
Next, I will ask the Minister of Korea Forest Service, Mr. Nam Sung-hyun, to give a congratulatory speech. Please welcome our distinguished guest with a warm round of applause.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Sung-hyun Nam, Minister of the Korea Forest Service. Especially, I would like to appreciate Ms. Hyun Jenny Kim, Ambassador and Deputy Minister of Climate Change of Korea, Mr. Juan Carlos Cacer Rosas, Ambassador of Colombia to Korea, Ms. Oh Bo-chang, Secretary General of Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, and Mr. Hyun-Mook Lim, Director of UNESCO Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Mr. Tae Young-ju, Secretary General of 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission, Mr. Tae Yong-jung, Professor of Graduate School of International Study, Yonsei University, for being here today. It's my great pleasure to attend today's town hall meeting with the GYCC leaders who will take the lead in the global climate change. We are now living in the era of climate crisis. After I was appointed as the Minister of Korea Forest Service, in May this year, the first task that I had to deal with was to confront forest fires. There had been huge wildfires, even in the end of May, when fires rarely happen. Not only South Korea, but also United States and Europe have seen the numerous fires unprecedentedly. I have heard that this event's theme is forest, and it will be the theme of the young session. And the third People's Summit to take the place in Bogota, Colombia next year. As you may know, Korea is succeeding in forest restoration by planting over 10 billion trees since 1970s. As an exemplary country in the forest sector, Korea hosted the 15th World Forest Congress in early May in this year. And Colombia is also regarded as a forest-rich country, which is the Amazon tropical rainforest, as well as the Andes Mountains. Forests are the most essential, reliable, and trusted nature-based solution. So the United Nations announced that it will focus on the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration in the current decade as the key global goal. Last year, at the UNFCCC COP26 in Glasgow, 141 countries, including Korea, signed the Glasgow Leaders' Declaration on Forest and Land Use, aiming to halt forest loss by 2030 and to promote forest restoration. Moreover, Korea attended an official event to showcase the Global Forest Finance Pledge on behalf of Asian countries. The Korea Forest Service has already cooperated with the GYCC since last year through the People's Summit. The People's Seoul Summit Forest Launching Ceremony and the 50th World Forest Congress. It's my hope that the Korea Forest Service and the GYCC will continue to work together for addressing climate change with forests, including the UNFCCC COP27 and the third People's Summit. I firmly believe that today's event will become a great opportunity to share valuable and productivity insight. And I look forward to the GYCC youth to take a leading role in the global forest field. Once again, I would like to convey a sincere appreciation to those who organized this meaningful event and all participants. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a thoughtful message from the Minister of Korea Forest Service, Mr. Nam Song-hyun. Yeah, please give another big round of applause.
Next, we will hear a congratulatory speech from the Secretary General of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, Ms. Albo Chen. Please give our distinguished guest a big round of applause.
Honorable Minister Nam, ambassadors, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, good afternoon. Dear GYCC youth, so happy to see you again. On behalf of the Trilateral Secretariat, it is my honor to be invited on both occasions, and also my warm congratulations to the final presentation of the Global Youth Climate Challenges. I wish to congratulate you all, the talented youth participants today, for sharing your brilliant ideas and making this event a success. And I was deeply impressed by your presentations, the passions, the enthusiasm that you showed in your presentations in the previous town hall meeting in Ensong. And I have no doubt that your proposals today will be an excellent contribution to the upcoming COP27 UN Climate Change Conferences and the P4G Summit in 2023. It is also TCS's mission to tackle the common challenges of climate change and to enhance sustainability in our society. And in this regard, China, Japan, and Republic of Korea will stand together with the whole world. We are living in a world interconnected with each other, and that is why TCS will always join hands with youth all over the world and support you for your efforts in preserving our planet. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and once again, my warm congratulations to every one of you, and I hope the event today will be a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a invaluable message from the Secretary General of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, Ms. Oh Bo-Chen. Please give another big round of applause.
Lastly, there will be a congratulatory speech from In-hyun Mook, the Director of UNESCO Asia Pacific International Education Center. Please welcome our distinguished guest with a warm round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ms. Kim Hyun, Ambassador and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for Climate Change of Korea, Mr. Ju Dae-young, Deputy Secretary General of the Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission of Korea, Mr. Juan Carlos Gaisa Rosero, Ambassador of Colombia to Korea, Mr. Nam Sung-hyun, Minister of Forest Service of Korea, Ms. Oh Bo-Chen, Secretary General of the Trilateral Cooperation Secretariat, Professor Jung Tae-young, Yonsei University. Dear participants, it is a great pleasure to join you today for this closing session of GYCC 2022. First of all, congratulations to you all on your successful completion of this year's program. I believe GYCC has been a great opportunity for you to exchange ideas and build friendship across national and other boundaries. I also congratulate the Carbon Neutrality Commission of Korea on the continuing organization of GYCC since 2020. I appreciate this special effort to work with youth in tackling the most pressing challenges of our time. As you might know, APCEIU, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, is a UNESCO center which has a mission to promote global citizenship education in Asia Pacific and other regions. I'm so pleased to see some of APCEIU's alumni participating in this workshop or in this GYCC. Dear participants, in today's world of multiple crises, global citizenship is needed more than ever. In dealing with our common challenges like climate crisis, one of the biggest obstacles is my country first doctrine and mindset. But unfortunately, exclusive and populist nationalism is rising in many parts of the world, and geopolitics seems to be returning to international relations. So it is very important to foster global citizenship in everyone, young and old, women and men, north and south, east and west. In my view, GYCC is an excellent attempt to foster global citizenship among youth by bringing together young people across the world and encouraging them to work together on a collective action to overcome climate crisis. So congratulations again on your participation and completion of GYCC 2022. I hope you will continue developing your interests and ideas and make an important contribution to transforming our societies into more sustainable ones, whatever career you will pursue in the future. I also hope that you will continue networking among yourselves as GYCC alumni and encourage and inspire each other as global citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your precious message. Director Im Hyun-mook, please stay on the stage. Yeah. From now on, we're going to have a group photo with all the distinguished guests. So please, all the distinguished guests, come up to the stage.
Now, distinguished guests, please take a seat. Thank you.
From now on, we'll hear from our GYCC 22-23 Global Youth participants on the fruits of their discussions and their perspectives on climate action.
First, GYCC 22-23 contains a total of 6 key topics. There are 6 categories: illegal logging, desertification, bioeconomy, climate technology, forest biodiversity, and water quality. Starting with our first meeting in May, for about 2 months, we divided these 6 topics into 6 teams and held regular discussions.
And today, I'd like to show you the results of team discussions. In the middle of each team's presentation, there is a Sandar Performance to help you understand the topics and how they flow into a story of our united climate actions changing the Earth. Please pay attention to the changing appearance of our planet in the Sandars.
Then let us watch the Sandar Performance prior to the presentations.
will now hold the first presentation given by Team 2 on the topic illegal logging. Please come up to the stage. You may now begin with your presentation, Team 2.
Hello everyone, we are Team 2 and our topic is illegal logging. Did you know that the UN Environment Programme reports that illegal logging accounts for between 15 to 30% of timber trade and rises to 50 to 90% of trade from tropical countries like those in West Africa and South America? And the EU figures are slightly higher than this. They estimate that between 20% and 40% of the global timber comes from illegal sources, like countries from Brazil, El Salvador, Honduras, Gabon, and Colombia. These facts indicate the importance of focusing on these two regions, which are precisely why we are going to be focusing on them today. Illegal logging, by its nature of being illegal and therefore clandestine, makes it difficult to come up with precise estimates of how much wood is logged illegally. What is known, though, is that illegal logging remains a very big problem. This problem is in the context of South America, West Africa, and the EU has developed over time. And as before, these countries logging illegally used to sell the timber to the EU directly. However, with the EU's new regulations, it has become harder for them to export, and that is why the following model makes sense. As you can see on the big screen, first the producers cut the trees illegally, and then those are sold to intermediaries, and then the EU countries in the EU buy from them, and not originally from the countries that are cutting the trees illegally. An applied example can see in this slide with countries like Brazil, and then they are exporting it to, let's say, China, and the EU is buying products from them and then converting them into furniture, for example. Now my colleague Guan will continue further on the causes.
So what is the cause and effect? This is the process what we saw previously. So it starts from the production country, which is mostly global south. For example, Brazil and Gabon. But the problem occurs when the wood departs from its origin, and there is a so-called intermediate loops. Currently, it is not possible to effectively track how the illegal wood makes its way to European Union market. The current loops in the wood supply system incentivizing illegal logging. It results in no accountability, no transparency. If it is not trackable, how come the customers can be making the proper decision? Our goal is to improve accountability and transparency in global logging trade through a cooperative and comprehensive approach, uniting both private and public sectors, as well as civil society. When it comes to our objectives, it is needed to monitor and track wood trade throughout their whole journey from the extraction point to final customers. We are urging to generate and gather evidence about the international wood supply to support policy making towards an international standard for timber trade. Pursuing a more participatory approach to wood management, including all relevant stakeholders, would be another step. I will give the floor to my colleague Diego to proceed who will be the all 11 stakeholders.
Thank you. So basically, considering the facts that were mentioned before, we are targeting 4 specific sets of stakeholders. So as you can see, first of all, policymakers. And why? Because they hold the influence that's needed for this solution that I'm going to present you in a while will work or not. Therefore, they decide whether the status quo around illegal logging can change and how. We're also targeting producers because we are aiming that the tracking system would be able to involve those that get to say a lot and determine a lot about the process from the beginning, therefore the producers, but also the law offices or law enforcement more broadly, because we need effective mechanisms around this, and I'm talking about legal mechanisms as well, not to just be there, but to be enforced for this to be effective and sustainable. And end consumer, which is particularly interesting in this case, because as it was mentioned before, many people might be buying illegal wood products without knowing it. So therefore, if we can leverage their power as consumers, there can be significant change happening. So our solution is basically a comprehensive tracking system that leverages technologies such as GIS, GPS, and identification technologies to allow for all these key stakeholders that were mentioned earlier to be able to track in an effective way the wood from the moment it's being produced until the point in which it is transformed and sold as final goods. And this can help increase or be a solution for illegal logging from 4 different perspectives. So the first one, accountability. So by this system, people, just as consumers, civil society organizations, companies, and governments can hold each other accountable. It's not as a participatory process. We also can leverage the power of final consumers, as I was mentioning earlier. So if I'm able to determine where the wood from my chair is coming from, there I might be able to do an informed decision about it and support or not this situation that's happening. We're also increasing biodiversity protection by being able to, for example, identify which are some endangered species of wood that are being used and logged illegally. And finally, and probably most importantly as well, to be able to create and generate evidence that we can use for policymaking, advocacy, decision-making in general, so that this can change with information that's updated and in time. So just to wrap it up, some conclusions that would allow you to understand the process and our thinking around it. So first of all, there are current loops in the wood supply system, and this is incentivizing basically illegal logging. Number 2, there is a need to increase key actors' capacities to effectively track what's going on, and therefore this is why we come up with a solution. And finally, a comprehensive solution to these needs to involve more than just the current actors that are most directly engaged, which are the governments and the companies. So we need everyone, as we are all part of it, to also be able to engage in it in an effective way, particularly in this case, those that can contribute to influence the current status collectively. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll just leave you with this slide so you can read this quote that I think is very important. And I'll ask the team to join us on this stage. Thank you.
Team 2, you may now greet the audience. Thank you for your informative presentation.
The next team to present is Team 4 on the topic desertification. Please come up to the stage. You may now begin with your presentation, Team 4.
Good afternoon, GYCC participants and distinguished guests. Hi, this is the Team 4 Global Youth Greener Futures presentation with the subtopic of rapid and damaging desertification in Africa. Let's get started. We will cover the problems and effects of desertification in Africa and 2 main action models to solve this problem. Root causes for African desertification would be expansion and intensive use of agricultural land, deforestation for reckless urbanization and farming, and lack of education about sustainable methods of farming for rural farmers in sub-Saharan Africa region and youth around the world. Those root issues caused many negative effects. Firstly, it increased the occurrence frequency of drought and famine by lacking the water and vegetation. They usually arise when a region has no water availability and no vegetation cover exists. Next, it caused floods during heavy rainfall due to the lack of trees that protect soil since the severe desertification has emerged. Other than these 2 main root causes, loss of biodiversity that causes a decline in population for which species may become endangered or even extinct. By eliminating their habitats through land degradation, overpopulation in urban cities, poor water quality, and poverty are also the negative effects for this African desertification and deforestation.
Thank you so much, Angela. My colleague has just shortlisted some of the problems that are associated with deforestation. So the main question is, how do we deal with the said problems? We as a team came up with 3 main solutions, which will be restoration, the use of renewable energy, and raising awareness through campaigns and education. We have a target audience which will be enrolled. The target audience will be for restoration and renewable energy will mainly be farmers in the rural areas of sub-Saharan Africa. We will also do the education and awareness, which will mainly be through environmental youth initiatives around the world and the GYCC participant affiliates. We'll also have some youth activists. So through education, the main goal is to raise, like I said, public awareness and also to engage them with effective methods of how to use renewable energy to combat desertification in sub-Saharan Africa. This will constitute of 4 objectives. First of all, we'll start with the prototype of a biogas toilet. The biogas toilet will be a building which will be also an educational site, which community members in the rural areas and farmers can visit these, which will be situated in the GYCC homestays. It will be a setup of a biogas toilet, which will put solid waste into it. The solid waste will then digest and produce methane and ammonia. Methane will be used for cooking and cooling, while ammonia will be put back into the soil to improve the fertility of the soil. So this is just a pictorial representation of how the biogas toilet will be used. Like you see that man is putting in solid waste into the biogas toilet. The solid waste will then go through anaerobic digestion, which will produce, like I said, methane and ammonia. Methane will be used for cooking, and the ammonia will be put back to the soil to improve the fertility and the texture of the soil. My colleague will go through how education will be outrolled. Thank you.
So, believing that education is a key factor to achieve positive change, we are going to implement our educational aspect in 4 pillars. So, in the first pillar right here, we are going to create an informal national education initiative, each one of us in his own or her own country. So in order to do so, we are going first to create a team of national youth who are interested about climate change, so that we are going to provide them with training sessions and TOT so that they act as trainers for our educational initiative. So after the team of the trainers is ready, we are now going to launch our educational initiative, and we are going to recruit as many participants from youth and students as we can, so that we raise their awareness regarding desertification and also provide them with the tools needed to combat desertification through renewable energy or restoration. So after the first pillar, we are now ready to go to the second pillar. So now we have participants who are aware of the issue and provided with the tools. So we need to provide them with the opportunity to apply those tools that they got to know during the educational initiative. So we are going to link them with our affiliated organizations, and we're going to link them with national and international entities and organizations advocating for climate justice, so that they apply the knowledge they got to know through the educational initiative. So after this, we are ready to go to the third pillar. So now we have a wide range of participants from across the African region. They are aware of the issue, they know the tools, and they already implemented them through the affiliated organizations. So we will make use of this wide and diverse potential youth from across the African region, and we are gonna create a network, an online network on one of the social media platforms, where we can gather all of these participants to sustain the knowledge they got to know through the education initiative, and so that they can exchange knowledge, they can exchange the insights, and they can
know from one another how different countries across the African regions are dealing with these issues and how they are addressing this, so that they get to widen their own perspectives about the climate challenges. And also they can work on their own global or they can work on their own action plans regarding desertification or any other climate challenge in general. So after those 3 pillars, participants will finally be ready for the 4th and the last pillar in our educational campaign, which my friend or my colleague is gonna tell you about.
Lastly, we will ask the government to hold a youth environmental exchange program, so it can help youth to understand various countries' environmental status, focusing on desertification and deforestation. For the exchange program, we will suggest government to establish and manage the Youth Environmental Exchange Center individually or under the existing Youth Exchange Center to effectively support youth environmental education focusing on desertification based on the Youth Activity Promotion Act from Article 53 to 57. Moreover, we suggest consigning the management of Youth Environmental Exchange Center to Korea Youth Work Agency by a presidential decree, so they can make contracts with sub-Saharan Africa countries that are struggling with desertification problems and connect youth to share insights about land degradation in the program and get enough budgets to hold this program successfully. Finally, creating environmental education initiatives that will manage training sessions in terms of deforestation, linking youth around the world to the environmental community server through GYCC global incubators for continuing climate action models, which are the processes of holding the Youth Environmental Exchange Program, will be incorporated and implemented with the help of promising GYCC Youth Academy. 8th Secretary General of UN, Ban Ki-moon, mentioned in the SEOUL Townhall meeting keynote speech that he hopes that the tentatively named GYCC Youth Academy will be established, where young people around the world can continuously communicate together and receive various environmental training with the GYCC Center's help. It would be really effective if the former GYCC Youth Academy were built so that it can be used as a place of environmental unity for youth around the world and our sustainable future. Thank you so much for listening. I would like to introduce our beloved Team 4.
Team 4, you may greet the audience. Thank you for your informative presentation.
The next 2 presentations will be on the topic forest-based bioeconomy, given by Team 1, and emerging climate technologies, given by Team 3. Before we move on to those excellent presentations, let us view the Sandar Performance.
The next team to present The next team to present is Team 1 on the topic Forest-Based Bioeconomy. Please come up to the stage.
Very good afternoon, everyone. We are the team Ultra Eco. So this is our topic. And you can see the content in the next slide. Okay, so as you all know, over the years, time and again, researchers and experts in the field have implied that sustainable development is a necessary precondition for a sustainable forest-based bioeconomy. But we live in a world where our greed overpowers and so that the life of nature and everything have destroyed because we have adapted to a traditional linear economy model of living where there is an endless cycle of production and consumption without any concern for ecological footprints. Evidently, South Asia forest is under tremendous pressure, and their conversion to alternative uses are widespread, with the exception of Bhutan and Maldives. All countries have reported significant forest loss since 1990. So what is the forest bioeconomy? Forest-based bioeconomy, to put it in simple words, is the production, transformation, consumption, and conservation of bioresources from forest, which links the whole forest value chain from the management and the use of natural resources to the delivery of sustainable products and services, which will lead to a circular economy that promotes the retention of value and the reduction of environmental impact while simultaneously reducing cost and creating economic opportunities, ecological health, and well-being of communities. It is necessary to fundamentally switch from unsustainable forest management and governance to a fair, right, inclusive, and sustainable forest-based bioeconomy to achieve the following targets. To construct and enhance well-developed forest-based bioeconomy, to eliminate or postpone deforestation or to lessen its impact, and simultaneously covering all ongoing and everlasting human needs inclusively and sustainably, to avoid monoculture production and to invest on more diverse offerings. Also expanding the sustainable demand, production, and use of sustainable forest products. Every day we use products that come from trees and forest. For instance, the clothes you are wearing or the coffee you are drinking has caused deforestation all across the globe, and it will remain unless we change the way we produce, consume, and most notably, our mindset. So we designed a problem tree analysis, and what you see in the bottom of the part of the diagram are the causes, and the ones at the top are the immediate and intermediate effects. We identify resource overconsumption and overproduction as the main problem. From now on, Unsu will continue.
Now, I'm going to tell you about the goals, initiatives, and the target audiences of our action plan. Our ultimate goal is to bridge the gap between the existing policies and initiatives based on the motto, leaving no one behind. Also, we will increase accessibility to information about forest-based bioeconomy through fact-based stories and impact articles and good practices. To achieve the ultimate goal, we set detailed objectives that we will achieve step by step. Our short-term and immediate goal is to outreach to young people about the concepts and ideas through e-magazine. This will also be converted to various communication materials for knowledge building and educational materials that will be used to spread awareness at a community level and also in local schools, since childhood education is especially essential to teach them young. Therefore,
introducing sustainable alternative education for future generations will be our major goal that we need to focus on. Finally, as a long-term goal, we will work on bridging the gaps in the circular economic system by creating market linkage and introducing policies. Then forming a youth alliance to advocate for our cause and reach a larger mass. By achieving our goals, we will be able to build a bridge between the education system and the general public and the impacted communities. Our target audiences are the stakeholders that are directly or indirectly impacted or could be impacted by this issue. Since the aim is to fill the gap and leave no one behind, we aim to actively involve youth and civil society, mass media, and policymakers throughout the process of the action plan. We also want to move out from the niche target and reach out especially to the rural communities who are overlooked during designing solutions and policies. From now on, Asif will explain about our action plan in detail. Thank you.
After what and who, let's now focus on how we are going to reach these objectives. We identified 6 activities and have divided them into 3 terms. So for the short term, right after the conference, we will be publishing our first issue of our e-magazine. The target audience will be people like us, young people. Magazine will contain information about sustainable bioeconomy through real-time stories and good practices from all over the world. It will be including interviews of next generation leaders pioneering sustainable bioeconomic models in their startups. For example, we want to share stories of Nepali homemade paper, a craft that is called Lokta. We also want to share stories about sustainable brands like Piran, based in Bangladesh, who works with Jamdani and sustainable clothing. This is the demo version of our e-magazine. In the midterm, we will focus on reaching out to communities, especially in the rural region, by creating information and communication materials. The content will be translated to local languages in the form of community radio, flyers, and street plays. Then comes the bigger question, the question of raising a new generation. And to answer that, we will design and distribute education materials to local schools, which are child-friendly and, of course, in local languages. In the long term, aside from creating awareness in all levels, we'll have to stitch the knots actively to create complete circular, sustainable, and bio-friendly economic system. We can facilitate this by promoting and creating market linkage for products that are sustainable.
So, for the long run, we will be working for policy recommendations that are inclusive and holistic. We want the policy that involves all the stakeholders in every step of the decision-making process, taking the policies that are replicable from the regions that have good practices. For example, countries like Bhutan and Nepal have a concept of community forest, where community people can utilize the forest resources and are responsible for the sustainability of the forest as well. India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and many other parts of the world have indigenous communities who have been living in harmony with the nature for generations, and they have been relying on the sustainable forest-based economy. We also plan to utilize the existing youth networks and use this to initiate a knowledge-sharing collective for youth with the hope that they can be agents of change and create a difference in their own communities. So, in conclusion, we will be creating educational materials in diverse languages to reach out different peoples. We want to keep them informed, updated, and connected through social media platforms and our website. We will also initiate cooperation between youth, civil society, and other stakeholders involved. We hope that this will initiate people, especially the youths, to make sustainable choices and create a ripple of positive change in their communities and in the future, leaving no one behind. Thank you for the presentation. Now I would like to call our team members for our final greetings.
Thank you, Team 1. You may greet the audience. Thank you for your informative presentation.
The next team to present is Team 3 on the topic Emerging Climate Technologies. Please come to the stage. You may now begin with your presentation, Team 3.
Hello everyone, we are Team 3 on the topic of emerging climate technologies, applications in East Asia and North America. I'd first like to thank you for hearing my presentation and our action model. My name is Hongju Jung, and today Daniel and Santiago will be presenting with me. I'm sure you've heard about all the reforestation pledges that many prominent companies have been making these days. LG has promised to plant 4 million trees, and according to 1trillion.org, 30 trillion trees are being planned to be planted. But there is a problem with these reforestation pledges that we know. It's that they can actually be counterproductive to the environment. Poorly planted reforestation can lead to further biodiversity loss and very little additional carbon sequestration. Also, they can fail in the plantings itself. For example, in China's program aiming to plant a band of trees stretching about 4,500 kilometers, in the end, 85% of the plantings had failed because of the non-native species chosen couldn't survive the environment. So these pledges that are promising to plant millions of trees are going useless, and they're not coming up to their potential. We'd like to give these pledges the right nudge to become more efficient and contribute to the economy more. So how do we contribute to reforestation? We do that by our action model, which is consisted of 3 roles. And our first role is recommendation. So what are we recommending? We're recommending these 8 details. Written here, needed to be factored for effective reforestation to the companies. Some factors are written here. For example, let's have a look at species effectiveness. Different trees have different speeds of maturity, reproduction, and carbon processing efficiency. Another factor would be biodiversity. Climate change is also a very important factor to be taken into, and also the region itself should be known for what's good to grow. Another one would be the timing of the planting, the native species, because it's important to acknowledge indigenous species and make sure that we're not planting invasive ones. Gender of the trees are equally important, and so is development of soil. So our focus countries within our region of East Asia and North America is United States of America and Republic of Korea. This is because information on climate technologies against deforestation are being used and developed and are most accessible in these 2 countries. Following on with our action model, we hope to contact a company from the target country and open a project for more effective reforestation. And later on, post-GYCC, we hope to expand this by countries. We will analyze the 8 details that are already stated on the internet, but not combined in one place. We can do this by using the satellite and thermal vision technology. We can recommend the key species and areas to plant in. Now I'll give the floor over to my fellow presenter, Danielle.
Thank you, Hongju. So now moving on from the recommending role, we'll be explaining more about our amplify role. It will consist first of amplifying the local community's voice. The local community, in fact, their contribution to reforestation processes is really essential. Their practices, their values, but also especially their knowledge about their own forests and land is incredibly valuable to complement the general research material that we already have access to. This is the ideal type of reforestation processes we are trying to promote. It will take the shape of a knowledge-sharing platform, which is immediately accessible through our website and the QR code that you can see on the screen. So this survey is addressed to local communities in major reforestation areas. The local communities that we're trying to address are first in the US, in South Korea for now, but we're trying to scale up on later stages of our climate action. The expected outcome that we're going to deliver is a research material that we already have planning right now, and also the local knowledge that will be compounded and contributed by the local communities. The next component that we want to amplify is the youth voice. And this is the actual youth-centered aspect of our climate action plan, and we'll be going to carry out through a petition campaign. This petition campaign is not only to inform and to raise awareness on the cause and the solution that we're providing, but also to trigger youth's interest, youth participation, and youth climate action eventually. With the increased number of signatories, we'll be able to pressure companies to respect their pledges to plant trees more effectively and in line with the recommendation guidelines we've given them. This will take the shape of the online digital campaign on change.org, as you can see on the screen. We already have 46 signatories that is ongoing, and which is already accessible through our website as well. The target is not only anymore the US and South Korea, but more globally, the global youth from all around the world. Our next target is to reach 100,000 global youth by next year, Columbia P4G. And our next challenge will be to find ways to find those youth networks. Since our team is each part of a big university network, we'll be able to reach out the alumni, but also through social media, Instagram. So in the end, this was the amplifying role split into two missions for local communities and the youth. Thank you. Now we'll be addressing the next part.
Thank you, Daniel. Now we're going to talk about the role monitoring. Monitoring is going to be divided into stages. The first one is relying on companies' reports. The second one is third-party sources. As we have mentioned during the presentation, companies are doing pledges with 20, 30, 50 million trees by a specific year. This inspires us with their commitment. These pledges are tracked in websites like 1trillion.org. And we, as a team, what we want is to complement on what's already been doing by them. Because even though they do require companies to submit their pledges and annually report on changes and how they are doing with their towards their goal, they do not have in their website how are they going to publish this to the public. So this is not black and white. Companies, some of them, do report independently, but the problem is they are not keeping track on their survival rate. Meaning, if last year or 5 years ago they planted 10 trees, they don't know this year, at the present time, how many of those trees are still alive. These have expert question how effective the reforestation is. We believe the more transparent the system, the more governments and companies will be willing to commit. Our second stage will be third-party sources. Believe it or not, high satellite data and platforms like Global Forest Watch track deforestation, but these platforms don't work for reforestation. Why? Simple. Because it's easier to track a green space that suddenly disappeared than a small tree growing in the span of 15 years. The World Resources Institute is trying to tackle this problem by combining two new approaches. We're planning to use their technology to cross-validate the overall progress of these companies' pledges. All things considered, our goal is to unify in a clear manner and report in our website that even a high school student can take action. 2 days ago, Mr. Ban Ki-moon urged us to take action and to make sure our leaders are hearing us. This is how we're doing it. So for example, take the example of AstraZeneca. They did pledge 50 million trees globally by 2025. What we want, or what we aim to do in our website is been in a very clear manner, having how many trees they have planted so far, which trees have died, what's the expected rate per year so they can achieve that goal in their estimated time, and then what's their behavior in the last few years. To summarize, our action model for our team will research to recommend will amplify and raise awareness and monitor the progress of these pledges. And we will do this while making sure the youth and the local communities are being heard at the center of the reforestation efforts. For our distinguished guests today, we are looking for your feedback and recommendation of which companies might be interested in working with us. In conclusion, team number 3 hopes to research and leverage the power of youth numbers on emerging climate technologies to put pressure on companies. We strongly believe reforestation pledges should be held accountable in engaging local communities and maximizing impact. Thank you. Now, I call Team 3 to the stage.
Team 3, you may greet the audience. Thank you for your informative presentation.
From now on, there are only 2 teams left to present. These teams are Team 5 on the topic biodiversity in the forest and Team 6 on the topic water quality. Prior to the last presentation, there will be a Sandar performance.
Then let us hear the presentation by Team 5. Team 5's topic is biodiversity in the forest. Please come up to the stage. Team 5, you may now present.
안녕하세요. We are the Groovy Guardians and we will take you through the impact of deforestation and biodiversity and how we as Groovy Guardians can protect it. Deforestation and biodiversity is heavily intertwined in Southeast Asia and Oceania. Southeast Asia being the biocultural hotspot, it encompasses roughly 20% of the global's plant, animal, and marine species. The 3 most diverse countries are Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Southeast Asia is known for its diversity in ferns, mosses, and orchids. Oceania is home to 39 biodiversity hotspots, yet most of the species are termed as endemic, particularly some of the birds in the island. Biodiversity loss has been pronounced on the island and in specific locations around the tropics where distinctive species often evolve from its isolation from the rest of the world. Coastal forests and mangrove forests are unique wetland ecosystems covering close to 140,000 kilometers square and distributed across 118 different countries along the equator. In Indonesia alone, the mangrove biodiversity represents around 22.6% of the world's total mangrove ecosystem. Despite the availability of various biodiversity resources, a number of species have become extinct due to climate variability and human actions. Approximately 60% of the total global biodiversity loss species have occurred in this region in a span of 12 years. Although mangroves do not exist in all the countries, it has significant importance to the global ecosystem and millions of people depend on it. Mangrove enhances fisheries by providing habitat for young fishes and store substantially higher carbon densities. This is crucial for climate change mitigation as global temperature continues to rise. Not only is it a habitat for marine ecosystem, it is also a habitat for animals such as sea lions, lizards, monkeys, birds, and many other species. Furthermore, it offers coastal protection against storms and floods, as well as erosion and sea level rise, which happens more commonly and frequently due to climate change. The lack of awareness and understanding of mangrove forests drive decisions and actions by government, corporations, and coastal economies differently. The lack of awareness and resources prevents the coastal communities from maintaining the health of mangrove ecosystem. A study conducted in the Philippines showed low percentages of awareness on the role of mitigation to climate change. On the other hand, governments and corporations will choose short-term gains such as agriculture, aquaculture, and manufacturing, which further aggravates deforestation. These acts do not assess the full environmental impact on the ecosystem.
All right. Now I will further discuss the causes and the impact of deforestation. So essentially, as we can see here, the mangrove forest biodiversity is destructing due to ignorant actions. Pollution of marine debris and waste, as well as rapid urbanization and development of the coastal areas, contributes to its destruction. Agriculture, aquaculture, and small-scale self-sustaining farming practices often focuses on the short-term gains without considering the mangrove ecosystem services and the rich biodiversity in this area. As we can see here, an example that can be found in Indonesia, where 100% of mangrove forest floor are covered in plastic waste. This unhealthy environment will significantly decrease leaf area index and the survival rate of the mangrove species. In addition, seabirds too are affected by ingestion or entanglement from plastic pollution in the mangrove forest. With regards to commercial exploitation without the awareness of mangrove forests leads to further degradation. Mangrove forests are exploited for timber to build dwellings, boats, and fuel wood for cooking and heating. Palm species are used in South Asia to construct jetties and other submerged structures because they are resistant to rot, fungi, and borers. The extraction of tannin from the tree barks has been responsible for large-scale mangrove removal and degradation. With regards to mangrove extinction, there are a total of 69 mangrove species, with 5 of them at the elevated threat of extinction. These species are all located in the region of focus. If we continue to deforest specific mangrove species, it will definitely lead to extinction. As mangrove forest supports a diverse ecosystem, an extinction of one species will directly and indirectly affect the lives of other species. Animal species that rely on mangrove will lose their habitat, and the failure to adapt to a new environment will lead to the species extinction. On community resilience, the mangrove degradation affects the resilience of coastal communities. This is because mangrove forests are natural barriers to various risks, such as storms, waves, and coastal erosions. Additionally, aggregated mangroves provides a near-impact shield that mitigates the effects of natural disasters. A study in 2019 identified mangroves as the most important element of risk reduction, and this is crucial for climate change adaptation.
We have witnessed that the lack of awareness and understanding of mangrove forests lead to an unsustainable development. Without intervention, it will reduce the planetary health and affect humans' resilience and survivability, adapting to the climate change impacts. At Groovy Guardians, our intervention plan aims to create awareness on mangrove ecosystem services and the commitment to address the factors of mangrove deforestation. The short-term goal of our action plan is to educate the general public for them to understand the information of mangrove forest ecosystem in their daily lives. An interactive quiz will be created to share the general knowledge about the problems and actions about mangroves that can be accessed by the coastal communities.
For our long-term goal, being informed is not enough. So through this quiz, participants will make a pledge to protect the biodiversity of mangrove ecosystem. A mangrove replanting program will be established where the public are encouraged to participate. Through this, together with the local communities, we wish to engage with the local government to implement sustainable policies for the longevity of the mangroves. We will target 3 main stakeholders: the public and local coastal communities, the private sector, and the government. The general public and local communities will benefit from the interactive platform as well as participate in the mangrove conservation and gain knowledge about the environmental impact assessment. The private sector will be supporting data collection and providing funding for this initiative. There is a crucial potential for private actors to lead the action for investment in the ecosystem services. Lastly, we will bring our findings from the quiz and propose comprehensive, implementable policies aligned to the Paris Agreement, while also setting bold and achievable goals for the selected region or community. This informative quiz engages the public towards mangrove conservation and follows the BuzzFeed quiz format instead of a typical survey quiz. The participants' awareness score shall be visualized by the age of mangroves or groovies. We take inspiration from the Groots in the movie Guardians of Galaxy that is too cute to not share on our social media platforms. At the end, the quiz will also recommend relevant actions to prevent further biodiversity loss. For each response, we will plant 1 mangrove tree in selected coastal areas, which are our community partners in promoting the quiz. We will engage with local environmental activists and influencers to gather our desired responses. From the dataset gathered, an evaluation report will be produced to design the mangrove replenishment program with the selected coastal communities. This pilot project report will include the monitoring and evaluation framework, which will become a reference and solid proof for investment verification. Engagement with local communities and the private sectors will help us gather the feedback and insights required to propose sustainable policies to the local government. With successful implementation of the replenishment program, we can expand the scope to other types of forests other than mangroves, creating a ripple effect and protecting the forest's biodiversity. We would appreciate if together we can support our groovies by being the Groovy Guardians. We hope you support and join our quiz. 감사합니다.
Thank you for your informative presentation, Team 5.
Now, there's one last presentation to be given. Team 6 has prepared a presentation on the topic water quality. Team 6, please come up to the stage. You may now present.
Every day I see miserable people doing things they hate.
Hello everyone, we are Adam, Hayer, Noor, Laihi, Camila, Santiago, Vivian, and me, Karin. We are Team 6. We will be presenting our work about deforestation and water security. To start, we want to ask, what do these 2 maps have in common? And as you probably can see, watersheds connect us. We've been reflecting that even when we come from regions that are so far away from the other, we have a lot in common. For example, we share similar watersheds, as we share environmental and social problems. Climate change for us is a matter of human rights. It's causing the rights of our communities being violated, and in the case of Latin America, our land defenders are being killed. And that is why it's so important for us to relate these issues directly to people's lives and rights. So before starting our presentation, we wanted to give you all some background information on the topic and what is riparian vegetation.
Riparian vegetation is vegetation that grows in the areas next to water courses where terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems join. Why are they important? Sorry. Okay, why are they important? They're really relevant because they protect soil and water, supporting them through their root system. They also act as protection and prevention of natural disasters. But sadly, they're being destroyed and affected because activities like agriculture, mining, forestry practices, and urbanization. This causes disturbances that represent a major threat to the nature and the quality of life and human rights of the people who inhabit these territories. Also, we can say that the destruction of riparian zones affects ecosystem services. And what are ecosystem services? These are the benefits that the people receive from the ecosystem, generating benefits for the communities. Some examples of these ecosystem services can be water capture and filtration, mitigation of the effects of climate change, oxygen generation, between others that you can see in the picture. And some conclusions of our data collections is that the watershed relies on forests and riparian vegetation, and the destruction of the latter causes deterioration of the ecosystem services this provides. And so it directly affects the life of the communities. So in that sense, our detected problem, relies on this. The impacts of degradation on the riparian zones and forests and watersheds, of course, that promote the deepening of the climate crisis and affect human rights, such as the access of water. Our specific problem, then, is the lack of awareness and political will about the protection of these zones. And it is caused, between others, because of the lack of information and education about the importance of protecting biodiversity over other interests. Our goal with this, action model is to prevent water pollution and the destruction of native riparian vegetation and zones. And also, our objectives are to create awareness about riparian zones, relaying in the importance and explaining about ecosystem services, empowering the communities who inhabit in these areas. Also, having said that, I personally wanted to say that we as individuals are not affected by these problems. So through this action model, we want to be respectful of the communities and their rights and act more as a facilitator team, more to imposing any kind of solution. And we have to declare that we want to work with a human rights-based approach and not patronize the communities, because nothing must be done without putting the communities, their experiences, their culture, and their rights, of course, in the center. Having said that,
Hi, my name is Leahy Park, and we will be looking at our group's creative solutions. Our idea is to work horizontally with local communities, offer a collaboration where we help, and provide tools based on their specific needs. We will target local communities, researchers, environmental activists, public and private sector, NGOs, and social media influencers. We established the following 3 pillars for our action plan. The first one is need assessment. We will investigate the situation of these riparian zones with the locals. Then we will develop alternatives based on the outputs of the assessments by the local researchers. Finally, we will create environmental educational campaigns and resources by the local researchers to the locals. Next, to elaborate, we'll look at research assessment. We will take, next slide please. We will take an assessment by monitoring and evaluating. We will investigate the situation with the locals by focusing on cultural assessment and scientific assessment. Now we will be looking at cultural assessment. The cultural assessment will research the livelihood of the area, also known as means of living in the area. So, are there any farming activities? What is the overall social economic situation? What income source is there? We will also assess the culture, traditions, and norms of the locals in the area. Finally, we'll assess the cultural importance of the area, looking at the possibility of promoting extra sources of income to the locals. In the scientific assessment, we plan to investigate with local scientists and researchers on riparian zone locations, vegetation, water quality, water supply source, pollution levels, and types of irrigation system in the farming areas around the riparian zone. In addition, investigate other activities in the area that affect the riparian zones. For example, mining, deforestation, road construction, and etc. Finally, we'll study the change in demography and biodiversity in the area and how it has affected the local life. Next, with the previously researched data, we will develop the following alternatives. With the research data, we hope to develop alternatives to mitigate the impact of deforestation by involving the locals and responsible companies in replanting the area. We will adapt the income source without affecting their economic state, offering a more resilient and sustainable plan. We will explore measures that reduce the impact on riparian zones and regulate policies and incorporate with different stakeholders, private, public, NGOs, sectors. All these alternatives are going to be developed together with the locals. Next, we see here that the riparian zones are separated into 3 large parts. So there's Zone 1 with abundance of trees, Zone 2 with shrubs, Zone 3 with grasses and forbs, and then beyond that is cropland. However, in this picture, we see on the right side that, so on the left side is what I just explained about the healthy riparian, most ideal riparian zone. But on the right side, we see what is reality. So we see that what is supposed to be beyond Zone 3, which is cropland, is currently in Zone 1, where there's supposed to be an abundance of trees. Next, we will discuss educational campaigns and resources on environmental practices we hope to implement. The educational method involves creating tools and workshops to guarantee justice and participation rights from civil society. Also, we will hold training of trainers by the local researchers to the locals, who will share the education with the local community. The educational topic will stress cultural importance of the riparian area, how locals can benefit economically from the proposed alternatives, the drastic effects of inaction in the short and long run of future generations, the issue of deforestation of riparian vegetation, and the assessment results. Participatory method on how to share the same information to the local community as well as learning from them will also be implemented. That is the end of our presentation. Now I would like to call up Team 6, and we would like to thank you for your attention.
Team 6, you may now greet the audience. Thank you for your informative presentation.
With this, we've heard the presentations from all 6 teams. We hope that the youth climate action models from GYCC 22-23 have been clearly delivered to you all. Additionally, we hope that through these action models, we have come one step closer to uniting youth for a greener tomorrow. With this hopefulness, let us view the last Sandar performance and bring the youth voice session to the end.
This Sandar performance until now has been done by an artist behind the stage. Please give another round of applause for the artist.
Next, there will be a Youth Voice of Harmony ceremony. As GYCC 22-23 Global Youth, we would like to deliver to the world our voice of harmony that contains our commitment to protect the global environment. For this ceremony, we'll invite 6 global youth representing each team to come on the stage. Now, you may start beginning with Team 1.
We represent South and Central Asia, and we have experienced immense unsustainable consumption of resources, which has affected our well-being. So today, we pledge to educate, advocate, and enable responsible consumption.
We as a team are from Latin America, Europe, and Korea, and our lived experiences about deforestation are diverse, ranging from increasing temperatures and being unable to breathe clean air in our cities. Deforestation affects us all, directly and indirectly. We aim to increase the chances to hold key stakeholders as accountable and increase customers' decision power.
The climate crisis is real and it is happening right now. We are Team 3 from East Asia and North America, and we have experienced deforestation through uncontrolled wildfires, floods, and climate change. We urge everyone to use less and care more. Let us not take this planet for granted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, GYCC community. This is Magda from Team 4. And we have a pledge to combat the problem of deforestation causing desertification in the sub-Saharan region through informal education by targeting farmers and students on farmers on sustainable farming and students on individual advocacy and awareness.
We are come from Asia Pacific region, and we experience the effect of the deforestation through extreme weather pattern and increased vulnerability of our community resilience. So we want to pledge to recruit, engage, and advocate mangrove conservation together with reforestation.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we are the Team 6. We are from Middle East and South America. The loss of our forests has exposed us to increased disasters and biodiversity loss. This plays a huge impact in our human rights, especially because we are losing the way we relate with the territories. So we hope that this conference be a space to make an action and don't fall in fake solutions and false promises. I hope to see you in Colombia to a good conversation and a deep participation.
We have heard the voices of the 6 representatives. For the last commitment, let us all shout it out together with everyone here today. All attendees, please get up from your seats. And when I say 1, 2, 3, please shout out the words on the screen together. 1, 2, 3.
We, GYCC, promise to act and unite for a greener tomorrow. Please take your seats. Also, the 6 representatives may now take their seats. We have high hopes that the Global Youth Resolution that we have committed here today will be carried out and have a positive impact on the global climate environment. Next, there will be an awarding ceremony to deliver certificates to global youth who have gone through a long journey for the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23. The awarding ceremony will be held team by team. Then let us proceed with the awarding ceremony from now on. The first awarding of the certificates will be presented by Ju Tae-young, Vice Administrator of 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission. Vice Administrator Ju Tae-young and Team 1, please come up to the stage. Team 1 Y-City, Samya Amali Ranavi Tantrige, has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13th to 16th July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Asif Hassan Jishan, Deki Pelzom, Unsu Shin, Mohammed Solgi, Samita Gmire, Sima Pandey, Felina Ingipi. Please give another big round of applause to Vice Administrator Ju Tae-young and Team 1. Only Team 1, please be seated, and Vice Administrator, please stay on the stage.
Next, the awarding ceremony for Team 2 will be held. Please come up to the stage, Team 2. Diego Manrique has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13 to 16 July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Diego Areola Fernandez. Gawan Lee. Hannah Marie Peltola. Reynaldo Valdez Garcia. Please give another big round of applause to Vice Administrator Chu Tae-young and Team 2. You may now be seated.
Next, the awarding ceremony of Team 3 will be held. The third awarding of the certificates will be presented by Hyun Jenny Kim, the Ambassador and Deputy Minister for Climate Change. Ambassador Hyun Jenny Kim and Team 3, please come up to the stage. Team 3 Y-City, Santiago Ariza has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13 to 16 July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Angela Yufei Zhong. Hongju Zhang. Hyungyeo Lee. Gonu Song. Xin Yan Xie. Please give another big round of applause to Ambassador Hyun Jenny Kim and Team 3. Now you may get back to seats.
Next, the awarding ceremony of Team 4 will be held. Team 4, please come up to the stage. And this award will be presented by Juan Carlos Caiza Rosero, the Minister of Colombia to Korea. Magda Asrat Dejene has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13 to 16 July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Ga Eun-jin. Monkogi Bright Kamongenge. Omar Ahmed Kamis Mohammed El Foli. Please give another big round of applause to Juan Carlos Caiza Rosero, the Minister of Colombia to Korea, and Team 4. Now you may get back to your seats.
Next, the awarding ceremony of Team 5 will be held. The fifth awarding of the certificate will be presented by Im Hyun-mook, Director of UNESCO SEOUL. Director Im Hyun-mook and Team 5, please come up to the stage. Team 5 YCD Yoon Kyung-yeom has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13th to 16th July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Francis Mariel Nicholas. Noor Shahira Khanum. Rachel Lau. Suitinia Puspa Lestery. Please give another big round of applause to Director Im Hyun-mook and Team 5. You may get back to your seats.
Next, the awarding ceremony of Team 6 will be held. The sixth awarding of the certificate will be presented by Chung Tae-yong, Professor of Yonsei University and GYCC Advisor. Please come up to the stage. Leahy Park has attended and completed the Global Youth Climate Challenges 22-23 held from 13 to 16 July 2022 in the Republic of Korea. Camilla Sofia Miranda. Hajar Hadi. Corinne Watson Ferrer. Noor Atia. Santiago Enrique Aldana Rivera. Vivian Landi Villares de Souza. Please give another big round of applause to Professor Chung Tae-young and Team 6. You may now be seated.
Today is our last day of this long journey, but this is not the end. There will be a closing remarks promising our next meeting from Ju Dae-young, Vice Administrator of 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission. Please come up to the stage. Please give a big round of applause.
Distinguished guests, participants, good afternoon, and it is time for us to wrap up all of the activities that we have done so far. And it is my pleasure to deliver this brief closing remark at this important and meaningful event. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate you on the success of the Global Youth Climate Challenge 2022-23, which was held for past 3 days under the theme of forest and water. This year, GYCC celebrates its 3rd anniversary, and the event seems all the most significant because it was held amidst hardship caused by COVID-19. I'm honored to be a part of this closing ceremony of this year's successful GYCC. And I have to say, I've been so impressed in this afternoon with your interest and enthusiasm for climate change, as well as your abilities regarding problem analysis, presentation skill, and idea formulation. And I firmly believe that a youth network will play a key role in amplifying the voice of youth and turning climate talk into real action. In this rapidly changing era, I encourage you to transcend national borders, languages, races, and religions to make GYCC voice heard at the P4G summit to be held in Bogota, Colombia in next year. It is high time to engage everyone at a collective level to fight climate change. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the GYCC Global Youth participants for your support and active cooperation in making GYCC a success. It is my hope that your love for the earth and the never give up spirit demonstrated during the event stay with you forever. And I wish you good health and good luck. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your invaluable message. Please give another big round of applause to Mr. Chu Dae-young, Vice Administrator for 2050 Carbon Neutrality and Green Growth Commission.
Lastly, we'll take a group photo together. Distinguished guests, please come up to the stage for a group photo. And all GYCC participants as well, please come up to the stage with the certificates you just got.
Please follow the guide of the staff when you stand.
Second row, can you come closer to the front, please? Yeah, second row. Yeah. All of you behind. Can you step one more step to the front, please? Yeah. Little bit more. Yeah. No. Closer. Yeah. 보이나요? 뒤에가 안 보이는데. Someone who is behind, can you come up to the front? We can't see you here. 계신 것 같은데. 교수님들 앞으로 좀 나와 주실래요? 얼굴이 아예 안 보이세요.
나오셔도 됩니다. 네. 됐어요.
됐을까요? Let's take a photo. 1, 2, and 3. You can change your pose if you want. Do anything freely. 통일해요? Yeah, you can do it freely. Any pose is okay. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, you can wave your heart. Yeah. Make a big heart on your hands. If you guys are ready. Come on, let's take it. 1, 2, and 3.
Every participant, please be seated. This concludes the official schedule of the GYCC Global Climate Change Challenge 2022-23. We'd like to thank everyone who stayed with us until the very end.
We hope that the voices of youth around the world will be delivered through GYCC 22-23 to raise global awareness of the climate change and develop various plans to combat climate crisis in the future.
Until now, it was GYCC co-leader Dain Kim
and Liam Park.
Thank you.